UFC Fight Night, Moreno versus Erceg. Quick picks, quick predictions. You boys already know. We're going to get straight into it. Before we go ahead and get into it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's start it off with the early prelim opener of Markel Medeiros versus Austin Hubbard. Opens up this card, man. Not a bad start to the card. Lightweight fight. Austin Hubbard was supposed to fight. I believe he was supposed to fight, what's his name? Daniel Zellhuber, excuse me. He was supposed to fight Zellhuber, which made sense for the Mexico card. You know, Zellhuber fought last time, 306 against Ribovic. That was fight of the year, literally potential fight of the year. And now Austin Hubbard is going to be fighting Markel Medeiros, who's coming in on short notice. Not a bad fight, man. Medeiros is undefeated in the UFC so far. Austin Hubbard has been up and down, hasn't had any great wins, really. You know, he's just been kind of getting that win to regain his contract kind of every time. And he's fighting a tough dude in Markel Medeiros, who had a close decision last time out, but he did have a nice knockout when getting into the UFC. And I think he's going to be the one throwing the more volume coming forward. Austin Hubbard is always live, though. He's always there, and he makes fights really, really close. I think this is going to be a really close decision fight. I am going to side with Markel Medeiros. You know, younger, faster, just more primed. And, you know, he's coming off of a couple wins. Austin Hubbard has been unlucky with decisions. He's coming off that loss to, what's his name, Alexander Hernandez, who recently fought, I think it was last weekend. Yeah, he fought last weekend and he lost, or he won that fight. But he had a very close fight with Austin Hubbard. And I just think Hubbard's going to have another close loss here to Markel Medeiros. They're going to side with Medeiros to get this win. They want to hype up the prospects, of course, and Austin Hubbard is way past that point in his career. So I'm going to go Markel Medeiros by close split decision to start off this card. We are going to move on, though. Jamal Emmers versus Gabriel Miranda. This is not a bad fight. It was recently added to this card. Very weird fight to add to this card, but Jamal Emmers is coming off that loss to Nate the Train, man. He got knocked out. He almost knocked out Nate and then decided to not finish the job and get knocked out himself. So not the best fight IQ on Jamal Emmers' side, but Gabriel Miranda is not the best fight, doesn't have the best fight IQ either. He's the type of guy to get close to you and then pull full guard and just jump onto his back to try to look for a submission. He doesn't have anything but submissions in his game. Gabriel Miranda is just the definition of a BJJ fighter. He's the definition of a BJJ fighter. There's no other way to say it. Gabriel Miranda will not be able to hurt Jamal Emmers on the feet. If he does, I'd be very, very surprised. But Gabriel Miranda is going to be looking to take this fight to the ground. He's got a lot of submissions in his game, a lot of submissions in his career. And Jamal Emmers is, you know, he's tit for tat with the wins, but he does have good knockout power, and it will be interesting to see if he goes to the ground with Gabriel Miranda. I think Miranda has a chance to submit Jamal Emmers if Emmers makes a bad decision. His IQ is not great, but neither is Gabriel Miranda's. Miranda is coming off that loss to Morgan Charrier. He got knocked out in France. His two losses are in Paris. They're in France, man. To Benoit Saint-Denis, who is not a bad loss, but then he lost to Morgan Charrier. So at least he's not in France. You know, at least he's not in France. He's fighting in Mexico City. And Jamal Emmers doesn't have the best fight IQ. I could see Gabriel Miranda taking this one. I think it will end in a finish. And I am going to trust with Gabriel Miranda to find that finish. As an early prediction, we're going to go with Gabriel Miranda by submission. I think Jamal Emmers is going to go to the ground, make a mistake, and Gabriel Miranda is going to capitalize with this BJJ. We're going to move on, though. Rafa Garcia versus Vince Pitchell. This is an okay fight. I mean, Rafa Garcia got demolished by Grant Dawson in his last fight. You know, got knocked out pretty bad, got dominated. But he's fighting Vince Pitchell, who is 42 years old at lightweight. The age is not on his side. He is 14-4. He's not bad. He's very, very sturdy. He's very hard to finish. Vince Pitchell has a great chin on him. He's got good offensive wrestling. But Rafa Garcia is going to be the younger fighter, the fresher fighter. I think his jab's going to be working for him all night. I think he's going to be able to outstrike Vince Pitchell. I mean, Pitchell could probably offensively wrestle Garcia, but I think Garcia will be able to keep it on the feet and just land the better shots for a decently boring decision. I don't see this fight ending in a finish. I don't see it being too exciting. I'm going to go Rafa Garcia by 29-28 unanimous decision. We move on, though. Lupi Godinez versus Julia Pilastri. Not a bad fight. Lupi Godinez, you know, she's on two fight losing streak. She lost her last time out. It was close, but she is fighting Julia Pilastri, who is, you know, she's dangerous. She is dangerous on the ground. She doesn't have the best striking. I think Lupi Godinez's striking is going to be way better than Julia Pilastri. If Godinez plays this right, she uses her jab, she keeps that range, she bounces in and out of that void and keeps her distance and just pokes away with the jab. I think she can get this one done. But my worry is that Julia will crash in, go for a takedown, get on top of Godinez, and look for ground and pound and maybe find a submission. I am going to go with Julia Pilastri to get the upset over Luby Godinez as an early pick at least. I just don't trust Luby Godinez's IQ. The way she fights, she makes bad decisions at times, and, she pays for it. So I'm going to go Julia Pilastri by decision, but I think it will be close. I think it will be close. We move on, though. Christian Rodriguez versus Melquizael Costa. It was not that long ago that we just saw Costa fight. Costa fought in Seattle, got a nice submission over Andre Philly, and now he's back. I think only a month later, which is crazy turnaround, but he didn't take any damage in that fight. He got a nice guillotine choke. I mean, Philly literally took him down, put his head under Costa's arm, and Costa was able to wrap up a guillotine. I mean, just poor fight IQ on Andre Philly's side. But he's, Costa's fighting Christian Rodriguez, who is a guy who does have good IQ. He's good on the feet. He shuts down every prospect. I mean, this guy is the prospect killer. He's killed so many people's undefeated records, including last time against Austin Bashi. And, he even beat Raul Rosas Jr., who's on this card as well. He's beat a lot of these prospects, but Costa's not a prospect. Costa is 22-7. He's very seasoned, he has got a lot of fights in his MMA career, and he knows how to work on the ground and on the feet. Costa's kicks are beautiful, great kicks, and when it does go to the ground, he's dangerous. He can find a submission. He can wrap up a submission anywhere. He's riding 2 submission wins in a row. Christian Rodriguez recently got submitted by Julian Erosa before fighting Austin Bashi. I do think Christian Rodriguez will be the better striker. I think he'll be able to land knees, crash in, connect like he did against Bashi, and deal some damage to Melquizael Costa, who has been finished before. He got knocked out by Steve Garcia. But I do trust that Costa is going to be able to keep it up at distance, keep his kicks going. His kicks are going to be going all night. And if Christian Rodriguez does crash in, I think Costa can wrap up the neck, find a submission. So I'm going to go Melquizael Costa by submission. We move on, though. Jose Daniel Medina versus Atabak Gauthier. I mean, this is one of those fights where, it's a new prospect, Atabak Gauthier, hyped up prospect, but he's fighting one of those Mexican dudes that just has an absolute chin on him. Jose Daniel Medina has an absolute chin on him. He is basically a walking body bag. He is a walking punching bag. This dude is super punchable, super hittable. In his last fight, he got absolutely beat up. He took kicks. He took straight rights, straight lefts, like punches to the body. He got beat up by what's his name? Zachary Reese. Got destroyed by Reese, but he just wouldn't go to sleep. He wouldn't get knocked out. He would not get knocked out. He's one of those Mexican fighters he's just not going to go to sleep. All right, or he's one of those South American fighters. He's not going to go to sleep. All right, and Atabak Gauthier is going to be heavily relying on that power, that striking capability to put Jose Daniel Medina to sleep. So it's going to be interesting to see if Gauthier gasses out, but because he's got a lot of first round and second round finishes, he comes with pressure. He's got good damage. He's got lots of power. I think he's going to be the more physically imposing and dominating fighter in this one. But if Jose Daniel Medina can just survive and deal damage late rounds, maybe he can score a decision. I am going to side with Atabak Gauthier to get this one done. I don't think he's going to finish Medina, genuinely, but I think he will score a dominant decision if he doesn't gas out. So I'm going to go Atabak Gauthier by decision. We move on. Edgar Chairez versus CJ Vergara to end the prelims. Not a bad fight. I don't like CJ Vergara, man, but he is fighting Edgar Chairez, who's coming off that loss to Joshua Van. Fair loss, though. He was throwing. It was close round 1, but round 2, Joshua Van took over, started digging to the body, started landing upstairs, connecting on Edgar Chairez's head, and was just injuring him in a lot of moments. Wasn't able to finish Chairez. Chairez is tough, but he did get injured. And CJ Vergara is coming off that loss to Ramazan Temirov, where he just got bowling balled down, man. Temirov was hook up against the cage, just going body, head, like just mixing it up perfectly. Lots of power on Ramazan Temirov's side. He's in the rankings now. Not a bad loss by CJ Vergara, but he did get beat up and got beat down. I do believe Edgar Chairez is the rightful pick here. But I mean, both these guys are really mid-level fighters. I'm going to be honest. I think Chairez has more tools in his bag, and I think he will be able to utilize his striking and his range management a lot better than CJ Vergara. I think he'll be able to do more damage, but I don't like the fact that Shirez's defense is very lackluster. So it's going to be close. I think it's going to go to the distance, go to a decision. I'm going to go Edgar Shirez, though, by decision. Very close decision, I think, because CJ Vergara he hasn't showed any flashes of being able to impose or deal a lot of damage at flyweight, man. So I'm going to go Edgar Shirez by decision. We move on, though. Main card, Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas to open up the main card. Ronaldo Rodriguez got a very, very close decision last time out. I thought it was kind of a robbery against Ode Osborne. He did get the takedowns, but he got injured a lot in that fight. He got beat down a lot by Ode Osborne. But he's fighting Kevin Borjas, who is coming off that knockout loss to Costa, where he just got his legs chopped. His legs were destroyed, got dropped with a leg kick. Then he just got beat up on the ground and dominated, got finished by Costa. So he is fighting Rodriguez, and Rodriguez will be able to take it to the ground. He'll be able to go for those takedowns, go for submission attempts. His BJJ is good. Kevin Borjas wants to keep it on the feet, striking at distance. And I think he can outstrike Ronaldo Rodriguez, but I do trust that Rodriguez is going to get the takedowns, going to get the dominant position, and maybe look for a choke here. Obviously, Kevin Borjas is cutting down weight. He is cutting down to flyweight, so it'll be interesting to see what he looks like at flyweight. I think he will be the more physically imposing of the two, but we'll see what happens. I think Ronaldo Rodriguez gets it done, though. I'm going to go by decision. I don't think he's going to finish Kevin Borjas, but if he does, it'll be by submission. We move on to the next fight, David Martinez versus Simon Oliveira. I don't know why this is on the main card. David Martinez is a very hyped prospect, coming off that decision win on Dana White Contender Series. Very clear decision win for him. He's fighting Simon Oliveira, who hasn't fought in 2 years. His last fight was to Daniel Marcos. He got knocked out against the fence, got kneed straight to the ground, and got brutalized, basically. Simon Oliveira crumbled and got finished by Daniel Marcos, and hasn't fought in 2 years. I don't know where he's been at. I don't know if he's been injured, if he's had family stuff going on, just life in general, or he's just taking time off. Not sure, but he's been out for a while, and he's fighting a tough dude in David Martinez, who has very crisp boxing, very well-rounded, can take you to the ground, can dominate you on the ground, can get finishes. Over 80% of his wins are by KO. I think he will finish Simon Oliveira. I won't go like early round. I think he will get better as the rounds go on. So I'm going to go David Martinez by like round 2 or round 3 TKO. Should be relatively easy unless Simon Oliveira's made a crazy change in his life. But it has been a long time since he's been in the octagon. So I'm going to go David Martinez by KO. We move on. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Vince Morales. This fight was recently added. Don't know why. I'm going to be honest. Don't know why. I know they wanted Raul Rosas Jr. on the Mexico card, but I don't know why he's fighting Vince Morales, who is a vet who's just been losing nonstop, man. They're trying to feed Raul Rosas Jr. bad competition, but I don't honestly think Morales has a solid chance in this fight. I think Morales is going to be the bigger guy, like width-wise. I know Raul Rosas Jr. is taller, but I think Vince Morales will be the stronger guy out of the two, and he can grapple with Raul Rosas Jr., which I think will cancel that out. And I do believe this might be a striking matchup where we're probably going to see a robbery decision for Raul Rosas Jr. or a very close decision. I don't think Raul Rosas Jr. can finish Vince Morales. I mean, Vince Morales just fought a very tough fight against a new contender or a new prospect as well, and he almost got the win, had some chokes wrapped up. I think his BJJ is good, but his striking defense is not very good. I just don't think Raul Rosas Jr.'s striking is that much better. So I think it's going to be close, tit-for-tat striking. The striking numbers are going to be close, and I don't see it going to the ground. If it does go to the ground, Vince Morales can finish this fight. So I think Raul Rosas Jr. will keep it on the feet and probably get a decision, probably a boring decision. He's coming off that decision win to Aori. I can't say his name, man. You know who I'm talking about on UFC 306. I can't say his name, man. But Raul Rosas Jr. will probably get this one done by close decision. We move on. Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer, man. Body bags. Been a minute since we've seen Joe Pyfer. Been a minute since we've seen Kelvin Gastelum. And let's be honest, Kelvin is not going to come in on weight, man. I do believe both these guys are going to be coming in overweight, fighting at this is not going to be a middleweight fight. This is going to be a light heavyweight matchup. So forget what you see there. Actually, I think I'm blocking the middleweight fight title, but this is not going to be a middleweight, man. Kelvin Gastelum, they're bringing him to Mexico. You know he's going to be eating tacos and burritos and all sorts of food right before weigh-in. So there's no way Gastelum. I would bet against Gastelum making weight, and Joe Pyfer knows that. I don't think Joe Pyfer's even going to bother to try to make weight, but this fight should be pretty clear, man. I think Joe Pyfer pieces up Kelvin Gastelum everywhere, just everywhere. Kelvin Gastelum might be the better wrestler, but Joe Pyfer is just so physically imposing and going to be dominant in the size difference that I just don't see there being a possibility for Kelvin Gastelum to get this one done in any way. So I'm going to go Joe Pyfer by either knockout or very dominant decision. I think he's going to piece up Kelvin Gastelum the entire fight. Kelvin's got a chin on him, but Joe Pyfer's got power. He's got serious knockout power. So I'm going to go Joe Pyfer by knockout, honestly. But we will move on to the co-main event. Somehow this is the co-main. Manuel Torres, Drew Dober. They want somebody to get finished. Manuel Torres is coming off that loss to Ignacio Bahamondes at 306. He got, finished pretty brutally. Ignacio was clean that night. Manuel kept diving in, and Ignacio was pulling back, throwing that hook, and he dropped Torres bad, and then finished him on the ground. He's fighting Drew Dober. Drew Dober's coming off that brutal loss to Jean Silva, man, where Jean Silva came up short notice and just pieced up Drew Dober on the feet with elbows, knees, hooks, everything, just spinning elbows, all sorts of malicious moves, and destroyed Drew Dober's face, had him bleeding and gushing blood. It was a TKO, doctor stoppage. Thank God the doctor stopped it because that eye looked horrible. We'll see if he's recovered from that. He took a lot of time off, so I think he has, but this is a close fight. I think somebody will get finished. If it's in the first round, it's going to be Manuel Torres finishing Drew Dober. But if this fight goes a distance, if this fight goes over that round, I do think Drew Dober will take over in the later rounds. But, there's always the question, is Manuel Torres dark enough for Drew Dober to implicate his motivation? I'm talking about his motivation with a specific kind of people. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to be a factor in this fight. I am going to go Manuel Torres. I think it's going to be close. I think this is going to be very close. I think Manuel Torres will land the better shots on the feet, though. And if it goes to the ground, he could find a choke. So I'm going to go Manuel Torres by KO or submission in round 1 or round 2, man. But we will move on to the main event. Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg. I don't know why this is a main event. I mean, Brandon Moreno should have been fighting Manel Cap. It was completely obvious. It did not make any sense. Steve Erceg should have been the one fighting Asu Almabayev. It did not make sense. It doesn't make sense. The UFC keeps messing up the flyweight matchmaking. It doesn't make any sense, man. Steve Erceg is riding 2-loss streak right now. Lost to Pantoja, the champ. Fair. It was a close fight. And then he just got knocked out by Kai Kara-France, man. Brutally in round 1. Got knocked out brutally. Kai Kara-France, overhand right, step through, overhand left, drops Steve Erceg and finishes him on the ground. I mean, Steve Erceg should not be fighting up right now. He's ranked number 8. He's fighting number 2, former flyweight champion Brandon Moreno for a potential title shot. I mean, the winner of this is technically going to get a title shot. I don't understand why Steve Erceg is in this position, but nonetheless, I'm going Brandon Moreno. Without a doubt, I'm going Brandon Moreno. Experience, the striking's going to be better. He can wrestle as well. He can mix it up. Steve Erceg is good, don't get me wrong, but he's just not seasoned. He does not know enough. He is not experienced enough to beat a guy like Brandon Moreno, who is in your face the entire time. Cardio is amazing. His striking is great. He just pieced up Amir Albazi, who was a huge prospect as well. And I just think Brandon Moreno is going to be there in the fight, the entire fight, if that makes sense. He will be in your face nonstop, pushing the pace, pushing the pressure, landing his strikes, landing anything he wants. And Steve Erceg will crumble. I do believe Brandon Moreno will get a unanimous decision, a pretty dominant decision, something like a 49-46 decision, pretty dominant against Steve Erceg, man. But that is the entire card. If you guys did enjoy, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop your comments down below which fight you guys are most excited for on the card, and I will catch you boys in the next one. See you.